Today we're going to be taking a look at my PlayStation 5 game collection so far. I've already done game collection videos for 3DS, Nintendo DS, PlayStation 3, so if you want to check out those videos, I'll leave links to those down below. Today we are focusing specifically on the PlayStation 5. My PlayStation 5 games collection is pretty small. During the PlayStation 4 era, I bought most of my games digitally. I did a lot of traveling at the time, so I ended up just getting most of my games digitally, and that worked out for me. I didn't have to lug around a bunch of game cases, and that trend carried into PlayStation 5, where most of my games I have are digital, but I've started buying my games physically just because of all of this crazy stuff I keep seeing about people losing their digital libraries due to licensing expirations, people getting videos pulled from their video libraries due to licensing issues. And so I'm pretty unsure about this all digital future that we seem to be moving into. Not too fond of it as much as I was years ago. And so this has kind of started this process where now instead of buying most of my games digitally, I'm trying to buy as many games as I can physically, but if there's a handful of games that can only be bought digitally, then I will, buy those digitally. But let's take a look at the current games collection that I have right now for my PlayStation 5.
Alrighty, so let's take a look at my PlayStation 5 games collection. Today we are going to be starting things off here with Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon. And so this is the latest in the Armored Core franchise. That is the disc right over here. So Armored Core 6, I've never played an Armored Core game. I don't believe I have, at least. So I'm really excited to be checking this one out for the very first time. Big introduction into the series. From what I've heard, a lot of my friends who are FromSoft fans say this is a very fun, kind of goofy mech game with a good amount of customization and challenge. So I'm looking forward to checking out Armored Core 6 at some point this year. Next year, we've got a recent title. This is Banishers, Ghost of New Eden. This is still sealed. I haven't cracked into this just yet, but that's the front and the back there. And yeah, Banishers, I initially wasn't going to pick up this game, but there were a lot of people just online mentioning how awesome this game is. Colin Moriarty of Sacred Symbols speaks very, very highly of this game, and I think he has pretty good opinions when it comes to underrated games. Ghostwire Tokyo is another example of that. And all of the critiques that I've heard of this game, the pros kind of being the story, the writing, and the characters, the cons kind of being the combat, I'm okay with that so long as the actual story itself is interesting, that it asks some pretty big questions. It challenges the player in a lot of ways that other stories don't. Like, those are the things that kind of interest me. So if it has lackluster combat, I think I'm willing to kind of move past that in favor of a memorable story with good characters and good writing, which this is, from what I've heard, it kind of does in spades. Okay, next one here is one that I've been looking forward to picking up for quite some time. It is Cyberpunk, the Ultimate Edition for PlayStation 5. And the interesting thing about this one is that the full base game Cyberpunk 2077 is on the disc, but the Dogville expansion is, I believe, you have a code for that. So it's a little upsetting that you have to go and download, right, the DLC. It's not like just on the UHD disc here, but nevertheless, I'm very happy to have like a physical copy of this game. This game has gone through quite a big transformation over the years that it's been around. And I recently played a 5-hour demo on PlayStation Plus and absolutely loved the game. I thought that in the 5 hours I had spent playing the game, I was super hooked. It was the fastest 5 hours I've ever experienced in a game. It was very compelling, and it ended on such a good cliffhanger that I can't wait to kind of play the full game and see what the heck's going to happen in Cyberpunk 2077. Next here, we've got a game that got a lot of hate when it came out, but honestly, I think it's kind of fun. It's Forspoken. So this game I actually picked up for, I think, $30 on sale at Best Buy. And this is the insert here with the disc. But I gotta say, it's kind of funny. Like, the writing is kind of cheesy. The dialogue is kind of cheesy. But it's fun. I don't think, if I got this on launch and it was a $70 game, I probably would have a different opinion of this game, right? But for $30, this is an incredible little, middle of the road game. I'm enjoying it. I'm actually kind of enjoying this game so far. I've only put about 4 hours into it, so still very early on, mind you. But I've enjoyed the tone. I've enjoyed the overall look of the game. I understand that this had gone through several performance and just general patches that this game has had. And after those patches, the game's in a much better state. And I would say overall, like, it's ran pretty well for me. It looks pretty decent. And again, for $30, this was like such a good game to try out. And I'm very happy with Forspoken so far, hoping that the rest of the game kind of continues to surprise me. Next here is the only, I think, collector's edition that I have here. This is Gran Turismo 7. So I actually got this for free. Normally I don't go for like these collector's editions anymore, but I did get this one for free, just like a promotional thing. So I can show you all the steelbook here as well. So this is the steelbook for Gran Turismo 7, and the back here. And we've got some codes, I think, and then the game disc right there as well. So Gran Turismo 7, I've been a big fan of the Gran Turismo series since Gran Turismo 2 on the PlayStation 1. It was something that I played quite a bit with my dad, actually, very early on. We used to play Gran Turismo 2 quite a bit. And then Gran Turismo 4 became like our favorite Gran Turismo game of all time. And while I think that a lot of people kind of hated on Gran Turismo 5, you know, there were some things with that game that I didn't love, but it had so much content that's very hard to be mad at a game like that with so much content. And Gran Turismo 7, I think, is a further evolution on top of the years and years and years that Polyphony have been kind of developing this series out. I really enjoyed this game. I think I want to spend more time with it. It's sort of the biggest thing I could say about this game right now is I've only put in maybe like a dozen or so hours, but I could easily see myself playing this game for hundreds of hours, just like some of the older Gran Turismo games that I've played in the past. But still haven't had a chance to actually get around to really sinking my teeth into this one. But from the very initial impressions that I've had with it, it's very positive overall. I really enjoy Gran Turismo 7. A nice addition to the series, for sure. Next up on the list, we've got Hades. This is a Supergiant game. This is the studio that did Transistor and Pyre and Bastion. Really awesome indie studio. And I think that this game's actually in my, it's in my PS5 right now. So that's the back of the case, which is all the boons. But I gotta say, they really nailed Hades. It's one of those games where, for me, it didn't really click until about 3 or 4 hours into the game. At first I was like, this is like any other type of roguelike that I've played before. I think that the art style and the music and the direction of the game was very impressive, as well as the writing and the voice acting. But, I didn't really love it initially. It took me several hours to actually kind of get why so many people love Hades. And now that I understand, I really, I do appreciate this game quite a bit. I think that Supergiant, I should say, they were able to achieve so much. And as a small studio, they were able to do so much. And they made a very compelling narrative with interesting characters and good writing. And they kind of did so many things right that I can't wait to see what they do next for Hades 2. Next here is going to be slightly upsetting to some people, but this is Horizon Forbidden West. I have honestly, I opened this game up, I played about an hour of it, and then I never touched it again. And then there's the disc and some outfit. I don't even know if I redeemed this yet. Honestly, I really love the first Horizon. It's one of my favorite games from the PlayStation 4 era. But to be honest, I haven't really gotten around to playing this game. Like I said, I played about an hour of it. I put it down and I haven't picked it back up. I've heard nothing but great things about this game. The overall support that Guerrilla Games has provided with these patches post the launch of the game has been very commendable. And they've fixed quite a lot in this game from what I understand. So I will check this game out. I will give it a shot. But for some reason, it just hasn't pulled me back in past the first hour or so that I had played, which is sad because, like I said, I love the first game. I'm sure I'll love this one, but I just need to get around to wanting to play this one. Next here is one of the biggest surprises so far for me. This is Kena Bridge of Spirits. So this one, did not expect to like it as much as I did. It has such an amazing art style, and the music of this game is incredible. That's the disc as well, and some stickers, cool. But I mean, honestly, the main thing with this game is just the art style. The art direction is incredible. This really does look like a Pixar film. Top to bottom, this looks like a Pixar film. While visually it looks incredible, there's some gameplay aspects to it that I didn't really fall in love with. I think that the parrying mechanic is hit and miss. There's some aspects to it that work sometimes, and the combat for me is not the biggest selling point for this game. I would say the presentation, the story I liked quite a bit. The overall world that's being built in this game is very impressive as well. New IP, right? Very impressive, I think. It manages to invoke several types of games, but also it maintains its own identity. So I would recommend Kena. Just don't go in expecting it to be the most, the tightest gameplay of all time. But it is definitely worth a try if you can get it for cheap as well. Next here is another huge surprise and probably one of my favorite games that I've played in a long time. It is Lies of P. This is just one of those things where I can't believe it, but this is the closest thing to a Bloodborne sequel that I feel like we'll ever see, at least for right now. And that's the disc there. But I mean, Yeah, Lies of P is really impressive. It is one of those things where if you squint your eyes ever so slightly, you would think you're playing like a FromSoft game. It's very like the development team completely nailed the look and the feel of this game, and it does evoke similar things that we were familiar with from like other FromSoft games. Like they knew the assignment, they did the homework, they did the assignment to the T. And Lies of P is, I think, a very exceptional game. It is one of those things where if you enjoy a challenge, if you enjoy FromSoft games, you will absolutely love Lies of P. It is actually pretty challenging as well. New Game Plus has been kicking my butt a ton, but I've been enjoying every single part of Lies of P overall. It's not perfect. There's definitely some aspects to it that I would, say could be improved, but overall it's very, very, very solid. Next year's a game I can't wait to play. I'm just trying to save some time for it because I know it's going to be a huge time commitment, and that is Persona 3 Reload. And I haven't opened it yet because again, I just haven't gotten around to playing it, but I know when I do, it's gonna be awesome. I played Persona 3 FES on PS2. Really enjoyed that game. I played parts of Persona 4 Golden, and I played Royal, Persona 5 Royal a ton. So, I already know I'm gonna enjoy Reload. I've seen a lot of clips online and the enhancements, the quality of life changes. I know it's going to be a good time. I just, it's going to be probably going to be like a 100-hour experience for me. So I want to make sure I can dedicate that time to the game. That's why I haven't gotten around to it. It really hurts me that I haven't started it yet, but at some point I will. And I know it's going to be super killer. Persona 3 Reload. Awesome. Sticking with the Persona games here, this is Persona 5 Tactica, or PST. So you can see that's the back there. And the disc. And yeah, I think the main thing with Persona 5 Tactica is I got this on sale for I think like $30 as well. Haven't had a chance to check it out. I do love the Persona 5 characters, and when I saw that this was sort of the new sort of like game in the Persona 5 universe, or with the Persona 5 characters, I should say, I absolutely kind of lunged at the opportunity to go and pick this up. And this is very much like RTS, like XCOM type game, or like Mario and Rabbids, if you're familiar with those. So different type of gameplay style that I'm looking forward to experiencing with the Persona characters in the Persona world. So yeah, just haven't had a chance to get around to this one, but looking forward to giving it a shot at some point. Next up here is a game that I was kind of lukewarm on at first, but playing it in VR really changed things for me. It is Resident Evil 8 Village. And this is the back here. And honestly, like I said, when I first played Resident Evil 8 Village, I thought it was fine. I thought it had some really memorable moments. The castle with Lady Demetrius was awesome. I wish we got like maybe a couple more hours of that, to be honest. Some of the other locales I didn't really vibe with as much. But overall, like it was a good experience. The thing with Resident Evil 8 was that after I finished playing it, I played it again in VR, and it really elevated the experience for me. And I would say if you have a VR headset, you should totally play it in VR. This game, I think, is infinitely better if you play it in VR. Like, it just adds so much to the base experience that you really just can't go wrong playing this game in VR. It adds so much to the experience. It adds so much to the horror, the suspense, and the VR controls are incredible. But overall, it's a good Resident Evil game. I still think 7 is far better than this one in a lot of ways, but 8 is still very commendable in what it achieves to do and what it sets out to do and what it actually, accomplishes. So good game overall, though. The last but not least here, we've got Sackboy, A Big Adventure. This is from Sumo Digital, and I think that they absolutely nailed this overall experience. And that is the disc right there as well. And when it comes to Sackboy: A Big Adventure, a lot of people just said, oh, it's like a 3D Mario clone, whatever, but it's more than that. I think that they managed to have really fun platforming sequences, a good amount of challenge with the knitted night challenges that are there. If you really want to go for like speed runs, sort of like time attack challenges that are going to test you a little bit, there's something for everyone with this game. And you can play this by yourself. You can play this locally with some friends online. So you can really kind of play this game however you want. It is fun with friends. It is fun with other people. So I would recommend doing it like that. But Sumo Digital, I think, has completely done an awesome job with this game. I am hoping for a sequel. I'm hoping for another iteration to the Sackboy games and like this 3D platforming sort of sense. So I'm excited to kind of see if that's the case, if this is something that Sony's going to go ahead and allow, right? Because we don't really know if this did well enough to that point where we would see a sequel. But it would be nice. It would definitely be something that is welcomed, I think, at this point. Well, that is going to do it for today's video, where we took a look at my PlayStation 5 games collection. If you want to see more stuff like this, then stay tuned because more content will be coming soon, and I will see you all on the next video.